Alright, there is a copy of this document on the regular web page. This is the ICANN goals for meiosis, and this two-sided sheet is an example of the way that I intend to assess my students' progress with regards to the Indiana state standards. Those standards are written in very academic language, but they are certainly not written in student-friendly language. And for students who have never encountered some of these terms before, it is very intimidating to look at these standards and try and envision themselves accomplishing them. So this ICANN method was presented at a best practice seminar by Matt Brenner, and essentially what is done is each state standard is taken and then broken down into slightly more student-friendly language. You're maintaining the same ideas that are conveyed in the standards. You're just putting it in phrases that the students can more easily understand. And then you break each of those standards even further into simple identifiable tasks. Those tasks can then be measured, as shown by the brackets, by individual assignments or assessments or class activities. So in this one document, which I would give a copy to each student before we began the unit, they would be able to see what the actual standards are. They would see in more simple terms what it will mean for them to have mastered these standards, and they will know at least the titles of the various assessments that I will use to determine whether they've met those standards or not. This paper is also very helpful for me to make sure that I have sufficiently covered and sufficiently assessed each part of the standards. Then on the back, it's an equally important part, both the student and I, the teacher, will keep a continual record of how they are doing within each standard. First, in this first column, is the official number of the Indiana standard, and the letter after it indicates whether it's the first or second main phrase that I've broken that standard down into. And then it's rewritten right there. And as each individual student, this would be on the back of their copy of the layout, they would be able to self-assess their progress within each of these standards written in student-friendly language. Up at the top is an equally friendly rubric, starting from 0, saying that they have no idea what any of this standard is talking about, which is fine, that's normal, that's why we're going over this material. Up to 4, which is that they are confident they have mastered the basics, and more difficult material, and they can easily apply it. Each student, when we began each topic in here, each student would rate themselves as a 0 because this is new information for them, and it's showing them that it's okay to start out not having any information. That's the whole point of learning, is moving from no knowledge to mastery of knowledge. So they would put the date whenever we start each of these topics in the unit, and then as we progress through these, they will put new dates as they feel they're improving in their retainment of knowledge and their ability to apply it. Here, I'm focusing on the same standards, and I'm using the same rubric, but instead of putting dates, I would put the names of the assessments so that we can compare how the student perceives that they are performing and how I perceive their performance. And we can see if there are any discrepancies or any patterns of differences. If a student initially on the pre-assessment performs poorly, that's fine. The record will stay there, but then later if they complete another planned assessment during class and they perform better, that score will override the previous score. If they do a retake, it will override both of those. And that is simply because students shouldn't be punished for past failures as long as they are making very dedicated progress. That's the entire point of learning. It's a process, it's not a sudden leap, and students shouldn't be punished for taking steps along that progressive route. So that is the I CAN assessment strategy.